let's get into it. Let's get into it. I'm sorry. That was so dumb. Let's get into it. Coach Colin here. What's going on, guys? We are talking about demons. I know. You're like, when was he going to talk about them again? Not everything can be about investigations and whatnot. I got to go back to exposing this type of stuff. I've talked about it before, but we're talking about actors who are channeling demons. Now, I was inspired by this one clip that I'm going to show at the beginning. There's an actor. He's a part of a show called Snowfall. Says something very interesting. Then we're going to move on to Jack Nicholson. Going to be hurting some feelings with this episode. I'm telling you right now. Then we're going to move on to Ariana Grande and her co-star in that movie they were in. What is it called? Bewitched or something like that? I'm not even sure. Don't watch Ariana Grande. Believe it or not, guys. Then we're going to touch on, and it hurts, Michael Jackson. Then Mae West. I don't even know if you guys know about Mae West. She's from way back in the day. And then I know this is going to hurt some feelings because we're going to talk about Denzel Washington. Yup. I'm sorry. Don't watch the end then, okay? I know that hurts some people because they feel like he's the only one. He's the only one that didn't wear the dress. And nope. We're talking about Denzel too. But let's get into this first clip because these guys are really channeling some dark stuff. Listen.
Decision. It was a choice. Like, I refuse to sort of indulge that these boundaries get blurred, and there isn't really a way to keep that from happening. I've discovered.
I remember sometime we do 10 episodes for my show, and in this last season, I was hitting a block, right? I was like, oh, I'm not doing it right? So I went in the corner, and then I was looking at the wall, and I was like, come on, devil, right? Come to me, because I had to do something like crazy, right? Had nightmares for a month. So it does come
to it or after?
After. Like, I had nightmares every day. Like, I felt that energy.
Oh, interesting.
You know, and I had to pray and do all this stuff to like get rid of it. And you know, you call your mom up and you're like, bring me back to life. And that stuff is real. That stuff really is real.
I think I was kidding myself as well. I think, you know, when I see my kids, that's off, it's gone, and, you know, bath time, bedtime, all the stuff, and then they go to bed and they're like, I'm not sleeping well, or there's something, you know, coursing through my body.
Guys, this is a serious message. As you can see, I'm not even in uniform. I'm not wearing the signature hat. So, you know, very serious message. 59% of you are not subscribed. Please, guys, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 500,000 subscribers. The road is long, but I know that we can do it. Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit the notifications. Please hit the like. If you want to keep seeing this content, if you want to help me move from being the Joe Rogan clip guy onto better, greener pastures, you got to hit the like, you got to hit the subscribe. It helps me tremendously. That is all I ask. Let's get back to the episode. Something coursing through my body. I don't know if you guys know this guy. I didn't know Macaulay Culkin had a brother who's also in the film, but he does. And he just said, you know, I feel like there's something, Kieran is his name, something coursing through my body. He's like showing like, is this something's gripping him? Then he says something coursing through his body. But this gentleman here, his name is Damson Idris. That is actually his name. And he is from a show called Snowfall. Now, I've never watched it myself, but from what I know, he's quite the gangster type in this show. So he's saying, come on, devil, you know, as he's trying to access something very dark. So many people hear stuff like this and they just go, oh, well, you know, that's just art. You have no idea how many people, it drives me up the wall. When you see all this stuff in media, you see all this stuff in the music industry, and people go, oh, it's just art. Or some people will go, oh, it's just marketing. It's like, first, you know, when you say it's just marketing, it's like when 100 different musical artists do the same things, they're doing the same symbols, they have the same symbolism. 100 people are doing the same photo shoot where they're doing the same poses, the same hand signs, And then you're seeing all this stuff in movie and television. Doesn't the marketing get stale? They've done it 1,000 times. You're telling me every single person, they get to a certain level of fame and then it's just all about marketing? It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, this guy's saying, come on, devil. And then has nightmares for a month. That is because he did accomplish what he set out to do. He did access something very dark. And when you do that, when you open yourself up, right? And a lot of people think me covering stuff like this is like opening myself. No. Okay, because my Bible's over here. My devotional's already done. I've already prayed. I get on my knees in front of this desk every time before I start. I do my prayers. It's always to Christ. So I'm good. I'm covered. But when you open yourself up, when you're saying that you're trying to invite darkness so you can accomplish a dark task, even if it's just within acting, you've still signed up. You've still opened the door, and this thing's like, okay, I got you. Yeah, and it's not going to be the devil himself that's going to come to him. It's going to be some kind of entity, and it's going to want to attach, and it's going to see what kind of life that he's living, what kind of industry he's in, and it's going to be like, okay, I can help you. I can help quite a bit, actually. You want to be a writer? You want to act better? You want to do great impressions? I got you. I can help you with this type of stuff. So that's a Damn Son. Funny enough, his name is Damn Son. I'm not even making that up. It is D-A-M Son, Idris. Damn Son. And he's doing that type of stuff. Now, let's move on to Jack Nicholson. I found this one very weird because he's kind of just getting outed on stage. It's not like him talking about it, but it's a woman that was working with him talking about it. Listen to this.
Spiritual element here. And the acting world has discovered the power in doing this. Just take a look at this clip of Shirley MacLaine talking about how Jack Nicholson is channeling.
We're lying in bed and we're rehearsing the astronaut Garrett Breedlove scene. He's explaining to Aurora what it was like to walk on the moon. She's loving it. And then we launched into the first take, and two voices came out of you. Do you remember this? Two voices, and they were simultaneous words, but they were two levels of sound. And I looked over at you. You were amazed. I was amazed, and you said, "Well, sure, Cheryl, I'm many different people." I said, "No, Jack, you're channeling."
And this is so eerie to me because I feel like in this clip, we could see that the audience, all of these actors in this room are very well aware of this practice. They're already very well aware of what channeling is. That this is a very normal and common thing in Hollywood to be doing. And it maybe even happens unintentionally sometimes.
It definitely happens unintentionally. Again, given your lifestyle and what you're going in for. But the fact that she says that about Jack Nicholson, she says you're channeling, and the whole, like she said, the whole audience just erupts because they all know about channeling. They all understand what she's actually saying. And also, you know, I'm sure if you were watching this on TV when it took place, right? It looks like it took place in the 1800s by the footage. Jack Nicholson's 400 years old. And no wonder he's channeling, you know what I mean? But when this took place on TV and you were watching this, it was probably just a funny moment. And there's probably a bunch of those. There's probably a bunch that we've had as kids where we're watching something that's kind of dark or watching people say things that are kind of dark. And it's kind of just a funny thing. You know, you don't really realize what they're saying. But she's saying two voices came out of you, right? I can't even do the imitation of that. But I know what they're talking about. Eminem has a song where it's him rapping and you can hear this voice that's like, it's a very dark, dystopian, scary voice that's supposed to symbolize the devil. And that's what she's talking about. Eminem did it in a studio where somebody layered it on. She's talking about Jack just being in front of her and that happening. Do you know how crazy that would be? How scary that would be? People make movies about stuff like that. So Jack was channeling apparently, which makes sense because actually, I don't know if you guys know this. Jack Nicholson was the Joker, right? Way back in the day, way back in the day. I think he was the first Joker. And he talked to Heath Ledger when Heath Ledger took on the role of the Joker. And Jack Nicholson actually warned Heath to not take that role on, because he was warning him because it's a very dark role. And it seems like in acting that there is this culture of attracting things in and opening yourself up and allowing certain things to work through you. And Jack Nicholson knew that if you actually go through with this role, it'll get dangerous for you. And it actually did get very dangerous for Heath. So, little interesting fact there. I didn't know about that. In my research, I actually found that out. I'm not showing you the full videos of everything, but yeah, that's one of the things that happened. Now, this one here, this is with Ariana Grande. And I noticed this, and I know you guys have noticed this if you're paying attention at all. Just let's watch it. We'll talk about it.
Exactly what we saw with Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo on the cast of Wicked. We watched as they started to slowly embody literal witches, and things got really, really weird. And I personally didn't know anything about method acting or the spiritual components when it comes to method acting when this story first came out, but now it totally makes sense and the dots are connecting, and I actually believe this theory. This whole thing just seemed very dark and spiritual to me. And we already know Ariana Grande is well versed in the Kabbalah, and Cynthia Erivo is blaspheming the Bible by taking a role as Jesus Christ. So it's not a stretch to think that these two women would be involved in invoking dark spirits to play this role. And I was so surprised to find out just how many actors and actresses are doing this, because guys, it's a lot, and not to mention the fact that it goes back pretty far.
Monroe attributed her ability to affect the public to other entities that would inhabit her and take her over. She was known for entering into deep trances before each scene. One of Monroe's close personal psychics recalled how she would draw attention from the spirit world, asking for their guidance.
When she saw a camera, any camera, she lit up and was totally different. The moment the shot.
That's wild. I didn't even mean to let it run that long, but going back to Ariana Grande and this other lady, what'd they say her name was? Cynthia or whatever. This lady I notice more than Ariana Grande, because this lady always presents herself as having these very long nails. So when you see her from a distance, or when, not even that far, but when you see her from 10 feet away, it looks like she has these claws. It looks very extended, like her hands are longer than they should be. And when I had a conversation with Nathaniel Gillis, when we sat down and talked, he talked about, well, I brought up one of my theories that these people start to look like the thing that they open themselves up to. And he introduced me to the idea that these things, these entities, demand to be worshipped. So who better to go to be worshipped than an actor? And if you give this actor unbelievable abilities, or if you give them unbelievable opportunities, then you being alongside or being inside this person will be worshipped. And then as they become more like the entity, look more like the entity is actually getting exactly what it wants. It gets the worship that it's been looking for. So made perfect sense when I saw this. And that's exactly what I think of when I see these type of people. I mean, let's go back to that side by side she did there. I mean, what is going on? This is how they, and we're talking about one film. This is what they look like at the beginning of the film. You know, I'm not into the short hair, but you know, she looks healthy, right? Ariana Grande, respectfully, you know, bombshell, right? Smoke show. And then they turned into this. And it's not to talk down on anyone. It's not even to talk about, it's not talking about weight or anything. Even in the eyes. Forget about the bodies. Just in the eyes. What's happened, you know? It's really, really creepy. Really creepy to me. And I notice this with star after star after star. They get to a certain point, and all of a sudden, they just change. They get a big hit, and you know, we're starting to see, as we're covering this topic, you're starting to see what actually happens. They get a big hit movie. They need to perform. They need to perform well. They're alongside all of these people who are basically, you know, just freshly, you know, dried themselves off from all the baby oil they've been dipped in. And you know, they're all into channeling. They all know about this stuff. They all been hearing about this stuff, and worse, probably. This is what they say in front of us. Imagine what's behind closed doors. And you need to perform, and then you get some advice from a big actor. And they just tell you, hey, you just got to open yourself up to it. Oh, you just got to open yourself up to you. I'm actually going to show you something. Talking about this mentorship, Denzel Washington actually says something that damn son Idris says. And that damn son Idris actually went to Denzel as a mentor. So you're going to hear it, but they say the exact same phrase. So this kind of solidifies what I'm saying. They come to each other as mentor, mentee type of relationship, and then you end up doing the same thing. You make a big splash with this big movie, and then the next thing you know, you look different. I think there's something I talked about it with polarity. I think there's something so dark going on. All right, now this one is going to be Mae West. If you don't know about Mae West, she is an actress from way, way back in the day. She was like Marilyn Monroe. She was like Cardi B in a sense, as, you know, being with a lot of different people was like a great thing to her. She was one of the first wild ones. I'll put it that way to be polite. Let's jump in.
Morals. During this era, there wasn't a lot of the stuff that we see today. I mean, our media has totally tanked. Dude. We got some pretty like evil stuff out there, but that just wasn't really the case. And here comes along Mae West, which toppled over the biblical understanding of sex inside of a marriage, right? So listen to this. This is Mae West's psychic, okay? His name was Kenny Kingston, and he's...
Hold on, I want you guys to be able to read that. I'm going to shrink that. So this is her psychic. Another person with a psychic. You notice that little clip that I let run a little long where they're talking about Marilyn Monroe? And she's like, oh, like her psychic was speaking. There's another person in the same era with a psychic. All right,
reflecting back on Mae West in her life. When she was upset that no one had been able to come up with a script idea, she would walk about her room saying, forces, please come and help me with this script. You talked about this.
I would do this kind of stuff all the time.
Right?
I would say, you know, help me with this path, help me with this thing that I'm trying to do. And I used to do automatic writing.
Oh, and when you actually invite the spirits in, so did you ever actually have experience of that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like I would be trying to figure out, you know, what my next steps were, and I would ask for guidance, and then I would just start writing, and I would do automatic writing.
Would you feel your hand actually moving, or is it just like whatever was coming out of your mind?
It's more just like whatever comes out of your mind, you just start writing stuff down, and then all of a sudden you have all these ideas, and it starts to make sense.
Wow.
Did you feel like they were your own, or you knew exactly where they were coming from?
I felt like I knew I was getting guidance. I was getting supernatural
you were talking about
guidance.
that download, you know, that instant knowledge right then.
Yeah, download would be different. It's more auditory, where the writing, it just flows.
Wow. So she would get these forces to come into her and help her write a script. And then this is what would happen. She would begin to hear the voices, images, the plot was revealed to her. She would summon the stenographers and tell them to work around the clock, and she would lie in bed in a trance-like state, dictating as the spirits entered her, and she would write the scripts and hand those to the director, and that's what they'd make.
That's wild. Wild stuff. And here's the thing. It's still going on. It's been going on the whole time within the actor world. This has been a thing that they have been doing. Now, can I say all of them do it? No, I wouldn't say that. There's probably some that are just not making it, and they don't know why, because they're just, you know, going to acting classes and stuff. But, you know, even in acting classes, they do talk about opening up to things and, you know, really embodying something, allowing this, they always say the character, allowing the character into you and really embodying that character. It's like, I don't know, man. You're opening yourself up to some wild stuff. You know, the fact that she would sit there in a trance-like state, very much like Nikola Tesla. He would also talk about that. I know I've brought this up many times on the show, but he would sit there in a trance-like state and he would get these downloads. She was talking about automatic writing, and then she said downloads are more auditory. That's what he would get. He would get downloads, and he would get visions of what the things would look like. And he would make those things, or he would at least write down the schematics of everything. So this is something that's going on, man. It's that unseen realm that these people have been trying to tap into for the longest time. And I know, again, I've said it before, but Tucker Carlson talking about the fact that they're pushing away from us knowing that that's what they're connected to is because in a sense, they are working for whatever that is on the other side. They are working for that. So very interesting stuff, man. Let's keep going. How much longer is this clip? Just a little bit.
This is way back when. We don't even get into the modern age yet, right? So you look at Mae West's and movies that she made. Remember she mentioned earlier, I Am No Angel, right? Or she has like the sex at the sensational Mae West. Yeah. So these are topics that we look at today, we don't even bat an eye because we're so used to sexual bombardment, right? But this was racy stuff back then.
When you think about it, it's like the devil is writing his Bible. Think of how the Christian Bible was written. John on the Isle of Patmos, getting these visions and writing for our time today.
That is an excellent point. He's working through people. And really, like, I know this is going to sound really weird, but the Bible is a collection of a bunch of stories. And that's how we learn about God.
Right.
The devil has a collection of stories in a visual format, and that's how we learn about the devil's world. That's what he's doing. How about this character, Marilyn Monroe?
Okay.
Funny, talks about her again. This is actually a pretty cool channel. This is called Little Light Studio. You see right there. First time hearing about them. The girl, if you guys are wondering who the girl was that I was playing before, this is her. Why isn't it going to her face? There you go. That girl. Her channel's called Taylor Alizia. So that's her. She does a great job in this thing. And now we're gonna switch over to Denzel Washington, ladies and gentlemen, because Denzel puts it all on the table here. Listen to this.
You're familiar with Spike Lee?
Yes.
Yep. You ever heard of a movie called Malcolm X?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, historical movie about Malcolm X, right? In fact, when you watch the movie, the words that they used were literally taken verbatim from Malcolm X's speeches. Denzel Washington was one of the actors that was in there.
Incredible job.
Yeah, he did an incredible job. And so Spike Lee is sitting here having a conversation with Denzel Washington, and they're talking about this one specific scene where Denzel continued on past the script. Listen to what he says.
Malcolm X really wasn't hard because I had done the play. Chickens come home to roost. Yeah, so I felt comfortable that I could do it. And, you know, I got the gift of gab anyway. So I was cutting and pasting his speeches. You remember we were shooting one day out there and you just kept loading the cameras up. I just kept going. I was making it up.
You were making it up, Denzel.
No, I wasn't making it up. I was using pieces.
No, but even that, though, I was a witness to this. You channeled the spirit of Malcolm. Because I remember one specific time where, you know, we went to Malcolm's speeches, and once you finished with the text, you kept on going.
Right.
And we I didn't say cut.
right. We kept loading the camera.
We kept loading the camera, and there were many times in that film where we all had to pinch ourselves because we thought we saw the reincarnation of Malcolm. It wasn't about impersonation.
Right. You know, to capture the spirit.
The spirit, and just trying to, you know, act as well. I'm going to look like him and that, but that's just surface stuff.
So check this out. Wow. This is just his conversation with Denzel.
So just to touch on what he's talking about, you know, he's saying that they channeled, he captured the spirit. But what actually is happening is when you open yourself up, you know, unless you're doing things in a proper way, you know, there are ways of praying. There are ways of entering into prayer and being with God, you know, communicating, you know, bringing your thoughts and your feelings to God. But if you're just opening yourself up as an actor this way, and you're saying that you want this spirit, you're trying to attract the spirit of Malcolm, one of these entities will just be like, oh, Malcolm X. Yeah, I can do that. So this guy will let me in if I just help him speak like Malcolm. Done. Let's do it. That's what happens. You're not accessing Malcolm himself. It's just that these spirits know how to imitate things so well. They're very, very deceitful, right? So that's what's happening there. And honestly, I'm not going to act like they didn't know. I mean, again, Spike Lee brings up channeling, and it's not like Denzel's like, what do you mean channeling? What is that you're saying there? No, they all know about this type of stuff because the biggest people, they participate in it.
Spike Lee and Denzel start talking about other actors and other movies, and Denzel gets a phone call from Will Smith because he was going to play Ali. And so he wanted to prepare for the role. Listen to the advice that Denzel Washington gives him.
The surface stuff.
Will Smith called me before he started Ali, and he was saying, what should I do? You know, and he did the voice for me, and he had it. I said, I think you should go to Michigan and pray with Ali. When I did Malcolm X, I would just pray every morning, you know, before I came out of that trail. I was like, Malcolm, come on, you know, because it's not for me, right?
You hear that right there? That's exactly what I was talking about. So that damn son, Idris, he went to Denzel to get advice. And now all of a sudden he's on his show, Snowfall, saying, come on, devil. You know, and Denzel is here saying to, you know, come on, Malcolm. He's calling something in. And you're just assuming. They're just assuming that it's Malcolm. Or, yeah, I think the intentions are a little different. I mean, I'm being very charitable, but assuming that it's Malcolm, that would just come out of nowhere for you to just make a movie about him. I don't think so. I really don't think that's how it works.
You know, it's for him and for those, hopefully, that he affected.
Wow, this is like gold, man.
Deep, dude.
And it's them saying it.
That's deep.
That's
deep,
mouth.
dude.
Yeah.
Come on, Malcolm. Come into me so I can act this. Dude, these spirits are messing with these guys.
Yeah.
Talk
And
about.
Yes, they are messing with them. He said it very, very concise, where I took a little longer. But that is and there's so many more. In that Taylor, in her video, there's so many more. In this podcast from Little Light Studio, there's so many more. There's so many of these actors doing this type of stuff. And these are the people that so many people are aspiring to, so many people look up to. You know, that's why I always say, I've said it many times, that if you really knew the ins and outs of what was going on in these actors' lives, in these movie stars and music icons, if you really knew how they got to where they were at, you really knew the inner workings, they wouldn't be people that we would look up to. Their whole industries would fall apart because people would be like, oh, these degenerates. You know what I mean? You'd look at it completely different because we have the idea that they're doing what we're doing, which is we wake up and work hard every day. So I do YouTube. I love it. It's not as hard as somebody who's going out into a factory, into a cherry picker and picking orders all day. I know that. But we actually sit down and say, okay, it's time to work. Every day we wake up and it's time to work. And we just get by and we try to just build ourselves up and build skills, et cetera, et cetera. And we think that's what they're doing too. But it's not quite what they're doing. You know, I don't know any guy named Jim that's like, okay, walking up to the Amazon factory. Oh, come on, Jeff. Come to me, Jeff. You know, there's nobody doing that, right? There's no guy working at McDonald's. Come on, Ronald McDonald. Ronald McDonald, come to me. I need the spirit of Ronald McDonald in me. There's no. Okay? There's none of that. Such a dumb example. I said it like Ronald McDonald's real. Like he's real and he passed away. Come on, Ronald. Come on, Hamburglar. Hamburglar, please come to me while I work the fry station today. It's not what happens. Oh, man. Anyway, I let this episode run too long, guys. Anyway, just wanted to bring that to you. I'm out of here.